for another video, and today I am here to talk about the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase that aired yesterday. Wanted to record this yesterday, I tried, I rambled for too long and the video was like half an hour, so I'm doing it again right now with notes and being less delirious so that I can make a more concise video about my thoughts without going on super long tangents. Anyways, yeah, yesterday they just decided to drop a mini direct on us, and it was one of the best mini directs that they've done in a while, or these like partner showcase things. So I just want to talk about it, kind of go over everything that they announced and give my takes on it, because this is a really good one. I know I've kind of trashed on these partner showcases in the past, especially the early ones that were like really boring. But they've gotten better. I think the one before this was also really good. Now we got this one, so they've been on the up and up. So let's just jump right into it. Why don't we? Anyways, we start off, we get the announcement of rating pending to mature 17+. I know everyone's been waiting for this game. It's been a long time in development, but it's finally coming out soon. So I'm really excited for this one. Okay, for real. They start with Bravely Default 2, which is a game a lot of people have been anticipating. They put out that demo a while ago when they, I think, first announced the game, or maybe like the second trailer for the game. They got a lot of feedback on it, and now we're finally seeing it again. I believe it was supposed to come out this year, but now it's been pushed back to next year, which makes sense. The game still needs some time to polish. I mean, the combat looks really good, and like the job system that they show off later looks pretty solid. But I don't know. Some of the graphics don't look that good. It's understandable. It's a 3DS game, basically. Like, this team only really worked on the 3DS Bravely Default games, which were Bravely Default 1 and Bravely 2nd, I think. Those were both 3DS games. The 3DS was better at hiding these, like, imperfections with, like, character models and just generally how the game looks, since it's on such a small screen and at a lower resolution. A lot of things are just kind of passable on that sort of device. When you bring it up to a crisp 1080p and it's on a big screen, it's a lot easier to see those imperfections. So the game, it doesn't look great. I'm hoping that they can maybe polish it up before release, which I think they show the release date towards the end, because also this is a really long segment, like holy crap. They talk about this game for like 5-ish minutes. Here we go. 2/26/21. So they have some time. They can possibly make the game look better. Honestly, it doesn't look that much better than when we first saw it, which is a little concerning. But I still think, maybe in the home stretch, they just like, alright, we got all the mechanics sorted out, we got the story sorted out, everything about the game pretty much ready. We just want to spend the last couple of months making the game look nice, which makes sense to me. I don't know, I'm not a dev, but if that's what they're doing, that would be pretty smart. Yeah, this game, I'm cautious of it. I think it can be really good. And if you can look past the graphics, I think you'll probably have a good time. But, yeah, I don't know. It's really the visuals for me that are kind of holding this game back. After that, we got a look at a brand new Story of Seasons. I believe it's called Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. It's more Story of Seasons, more of that Harvest Moon style gameplay, except it's not Harvest Moon, because the name Harvest Moon was like stolen by some other company, and now they make other Harvest Moon games that are really bad. It's a whole thing. I don't really remember exactly what happened, but essentially the old devs of Harvest Moon now just work on the series called Story of Seasons, which is basically the same thing, so it's fine. Yeah, it just looks like more of this style of game. I've never really played a Harvest Moon or a Story of Seasons game before, so I can't really comment on much, but hey, it looks like more of the same. There's probably some new mechanics in here, like that bridge thing, but I would not know if that's new or not, so let's just move on. Immortals Phoenix Rising. That's a game. It's an Ubisoft game, if I remember correctly. Kind of Breath of the Wild inspired with this, like, I don't know, just the way that the world is, and, you know, gliding around, going to checkpoints, climbing on stuff. It definitely has that inspiration. We've seen this before at non-Nintendo showcases, like Ubisoft's E3 presentation and other places. I'm very sus of this game. Not only because it is Ubisoft, but it doesn't seem that good. It just kind of seems a little generic to me. It's just using that, like, Greek mythology, I think, which is cool. You don't see a ton of games doing that, but I don't know, just like the art style and the world. People were really excited about this. I remember when it first got announced under the name Gods and Monsters, which, by the way, much better name. Immortals Phoenix Rising. Like, come on. Look at the word Phoenix. That's not how you spell Phoenix. And no one's gonna know how to pronounce it like that. It's just, I don't know. This game seems very, very strange to me. I'm not really excited for it. I think it's gonna be a meh game when it launches, which, fair enough. It's an Ubisoft game. It's allowed to do that, I guess, because it's Ubisoft. Next, we gotta look at some other games. There was like Bakugan and this game, and whatever. We're moving on to the big thing. One of the craziest things that they revealed here that I didn't see a lot of people talking about, and I thought that was interesting. So if I hit play, this is Hitman 3 running on the Switch, and you might be thinking to yourself, how the hell is the Nintendo Switch running Hitman 3? And well, for starters, the Switch can run Witcher, so I think that's just impressive. I think this game could actually run on the Switch, but no, it's being cloud streamed to the Nintendo Switch. If you don't know what that means, basically, you buy a subscription for this game, for Hitman 3, and then a computer somewhere far off in wherever land is actually running the game and sending the video back to your Switch. So when you press a button in the game, it sends a signal down to that computer in wherever land, and then the video feed from that computer comes back to the Switch. And there are a couple very interesting things about this. Number one, this could mean that we get more games like this, doing this cloud version, depending on how good this does. Obviously, you need a very high-speed internet connection in order to not have, like, lag and, have, like, a bad video quality running to your Switch. There are a lot of factors that need to be right in order for this to work. And a lot of people simply don't have good internet connection. There was actually something similar in Japan where they did Resident Evil 7, I believe, running on Switch through cloud streaming. The difference is, in Japan, they have a really good infrastructure for internet, so their speeds are way faster across the board, whereas in America, I mean, there are some places over here that still don't even have internet. So it's a very different landscape for this game to even exist over here. And it'll be interesting to see if it works, if it's, even if you don't have that great of a connection, if it can still run properly. It's really going to be interesting to see how this is going to work out. Control is also doing a cloud version on the Switch. And I think there's just a couple things about these two games that worries me, that I don't think this is going to do very well. For starters, the whole internet thing. The Switch is great because it's portable, and you can take it wherever you want, and have your games, your console games, running portably. When you're tethered to an internet connection, that kind of ruins that. Sure, you can still play Hitman and Control in your house when you're connected to Wi-Fi portably, and just lying down on the couch because you don't feel like playing on the TV. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. And if you have a Switch Lite, you can just play like that. However, I still think that's kind of lame. It doesn't really, it's not as like, oh, you can take this anywhere, you can go wherever you want with this. It's more like, you can play on the couch instead of having to look up at the TV and, play like sitting upright. It's just like, it's a slight difference, and I don't know if it's really worth paying for an entire subscription to a one singular game just to do that. And also, these games that they're doing, Hitman and Control, I can't really see a majority of the Switch audience being interested in these kinds of games, because when you think about why people buy a Switch, why do they buy a Switch? They buy it mostly for Nintendo first parties. No one's really buying a Switch to play Doom. They're buying it so that they can play Mario and Zelda and Animal Crossing and whatever. So I don't think the general Switch audience would be interested in these games, and even if you are a Switch owner and you are interested in these games, you probably have other means of playing them, probably a PS4 or a PC or an Xbox, whatever. You probably have a different console to play these more demanding games on. So then that just leaves me asking, who is this for? Who is buying this? And the answer is people who only have a Switch. Whether you're like a young kid, which if you're a young kid, probably shouldn't even be really playing these games, especially Hitman. But it's your only option. You bought it, and you don't have any other consoles or a PC that can run these kind of games. That's really who this is for. And I don't think that's a very huge amount of people, because I think a lot of people who do only have a Switch don't care about these kinds of games. Sorry, I spent a lot of time on that cloud thing because I think it's a really interesting topic. But let's move on to something that's really exciting. No More Heroes 3. This game has been in development for quite a while. I believe it got announced in 2019, I want to say? I don't know, it's felt like a while. Obviously, people have been waiting for a sequel to No More Heroes for a very long time. No More Heroes 1 and 2 came out back on the Wii, so it's been a long time. And now, it was supposed to come out this year, but I think they pushed it back to 2021, which, fair enough, we want this game to be good, so I'm totally cool with that. Just them polishing it up for next year. But the really, really cool thing about this is that if I skip forward, No More Heroes 1 and No More Heroes 2 released on Switch the same day. That is crazy. That's really good news, because obviously it's been a while since Animal Crossing, since No More Heroes came out. So giving people an opportunity to play it on modern platforms through the Switch is really cool. And from what I have heard, these ports are really, really good. It's not just motion controls. Like, since these games are on the Wii, they used a lot of motion controls. I believe they have full controller support now, so you can actually play portably without looking like a weirdo on the train wiggling your Joy-Cons around. And I believe they're like up-resed and have a really solid frame rate, and that's all very good news, because I have never played No More Heroes. I really am interested in the series. It's always been something that's kind of like, I've looked at it and I'm like, God, I wish I could play those games, but I don't want to dig out my Wii or even really buy the game and put it into the Wii U and start playing like that. I was just kind of hoping that they would re-release it, and I'm glad I waited, because I would much prefer to play these games on the Switch. They're both at like $20. I think they're like 10% off right now, so you can get them for like $18 or something. But yeah, very cool news. This was kind of a small announcement, but I figured I might as well mention it because it's from HAL Laboratories, and that is Time UFO. This released on mobile, I think like 2-ish years ago. And yeah, you play as a little UFO guy with a crane, and you gotta stack objects up, and depending on how you stack them, you get a different score. It's just, it's a fun little small game. I think it's like $9 on the eShop or something. It's obviously not like a crazy huge game, so it's not gonna be super expensive. It's not gonna be a $60 experience. I just think it's worth mentioning because it's from HAL. Honestly, when they were first talking, they were like, we have a new announcement from HAL Laboratories. I was like, oh my god, a new Kirby. And then no, it was just this game. But it still looks pretty cool. I'm glad that it's on Switch, because I don't think a lot of people even knew about this game because it was on mobile and it was just from HAL Labs, and like Nintendo didn't really cover it. So it's nice that it gets a second chance on Switch. And yeah, it came out same day. and it just seems like a good time. Alright, but now that we got the small fries out of the way, let's talk about the absolute biggest thing to come out of this direct, which is this brand new Age of Calamity trailer showing off, if you'll see in a second, you get to play as the Divine Beast. This is amazing. This is so cool. I was so shocked when I saw this, and honestly it makes a lot of sense. It just is such a cool idea. It looks so fun. Being able to play as the Divine Beast, I think, is a really fun idea. It lets you see just how powerful the beasts were in their heyday when, you know, they were under the control of the warriors. Because in Breath of the Wild, we didn't really get to see them fight all that much. They kind of just stood around, and you went inside, and then you had to, you know, do all the stuff inside there. It was like a dungeon. It wasn't really as dramatic as, like, hold on, if we go back a bit, as like this stuff where they're like shaking entire mountains and firing off laser beams. It's crazy. And the demo came out the same day. Now the demo kind of got leaked beforehand. People went onto the eShop, like looked around and found that the demo was like in the code of the eShop or something. And it was just waiting to be released. So this wasn't a crazy huge surprise, but I am very glad that a demo came out. I do want to do an entire video just on the demo, but to give my short summary of my thoughts, the combat's really fun. The demo has a lot of meat to it. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. The only real issue I have is the frame rate sometimes can get a little low, mainly in the first level. It gets, you know, kind of stuttery. But after that, I played the second. I've only played the first and the second level so far, and the second level works a lot better than the first one. I don't know what it is about the first level that makes it so laggy, but I hope they can fix that at launch, because I feel like a lot of people are only gonna play the first level when they boot up the game. So hopefully that gets sorted out, so more people are put onto this. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the demo because I'm going to make a whole video about it. So yeah, stick around for that. And that was the end of the Direct. Just kidding, I lied to you. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Japan Direct because they showed off a couple more games there that I want to talk about. For instance, what's playing right now is Rune Factory 5. We got a new trailer for it. It's in Japanese, so I don't really know what the hell's going on. But Rune Factory is really interesting to me. I've never played a Rune Factory. I was really considering picking up Rune Factory 4, because it just sounds like the perfect farming game for me, I guess, because it has this, like, action RPG stuff to it. It's a lot more anime, it's a lot more fantasy, so I think this is kind of the one that I want to get into. And I was going to get into 4, but then I saw that it was, like, had that weird top-down view. And then I saw that they were putting out 5, and I was like, well, I'll just wait for this one, because it's like a third-person action RPG. I'll play this. I was a little sad that we didn't get to see this in the American Direct, but it's cool that we get a trailer in the Japanese Direct anyway. Yeah, Rune Factory 5, I'm excited to see more of this game, and find out when it's coming out in America. There were a few other games here that I'm not going to go over super deep. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, the HD remaster, that's coming out soon in Japan, so they did the little short on that. This game, which I have no idea what the hell it is, but it looks like anime Hearthstone, and I like that, so I hope that comes out in America. And then this weird train board game thing. Now this was probably the biggest thing that the Japanese Direct revealed, which is a game called Buddy Mission Bond. I had to look it up on my phone because I forgot the name. But yeah, this was not shown in the American Direct at all, only in Japan. It is a visual novel style adventure game, done by Koei Tecmo, which is pretty interesting because we saw Age of Calamity in the American Direct, which was being done by Koei Tecmo, but we didn't see this. I guess they're just waiting to fully translate it. Very interesting little tidbit of information. The art in this trailer is done by Yusuke Murata, and if you don't know who that is, he is the artist on One Punch Man. So you can, after you hear that, you can kind of tell, like once you look at it, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like a spy action game. It's apparently like a visual novel, but it does have some 3D segments in them. I believe if you skip forward a little bit, you can see them. Yeah, over here, right after this bit. Here we go. They have like the 3D models and you're running around. It's hard to tell what's going on because it's doing that like comic book style thing. But this looks fantastic. It's like some crazy spy thriller visual novel game. And if you look at the bottom, alright, then the freaking taskbar thing wasn't there. You can see it says 2021 Nintendo, which means Nintendo is publishing this game. That's very interesting. That's really, really interesting. Nintendo working with Yusuke Murata and Koei Tecmo to put out an action spy visual novel game. This sounds amazing. I really, really hope this comes out in America. The fact that Nintendo is on this probably means that it will come out in America, but we don't know yet. And I'm just really excited to see more. Find out kind of what that 3D gameplay is like. Obviously, we can kind of tell what the visual novel style gameplay is going to be. A lot of reading, a lot of making choices, which I know some people are not into that, like the whole visual novel thing, because it's like, why not just read a book? But I still think they're pretty fun. You know, you have games like Phoenix Wright and other visual novel games that I can't think of right now, where they do stuff that's really unique and fun. So I'm hoping this is one of those, where it's a visual novel with that added gameplay element. But yeah, that is pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you guys thought about this mini direct. In my opinion, one of the best of all the mini partner showcase directs. And it's the last one of the year, so they ended on a pretty good note. I know some people are still kind of miffed that we haven't gotten a standard normal direct in a really long time. And I understand that. I was one of those people for a while, especially when these were definitely not sufficient compared to standard directs. But after watching all of them and going through this year, I think that this is probably the best we could have gotten. Under the circumstances with the coronavirus and pandemic and everyone working at home, just having any kind of direct I think is really special, because they could have just announced these in like a little Twitter thing or somewhere else, and that would not have been as exciting. So having just them putting together this little video of all these announcements and actually organizing it, I really appreciate it. I feel like it shows that Nintendo cares about the community aspect of these directs, because everyone gets together and they just sit down and they talk about the announcements. Like, you don't really get that with Nintendo just dropping random stuff on Twitter. Sure, some people will talk about one thing, but some people might not talk about a different thing that they announce through Twitter. Having one consolidated video just makes it more exciting. And the announcements here were really fantastic. I'm just looking through my notes. We got another look at Bravely Default 2, a new story of seasons. We got Hitman 3 and Control Cloud versions, which is just strange and interesting. No More Heroes 3 plus the ports, and then a new Age of Calamity trailer with the demo. That's amazing. That's a really, really solid direct. And of course, there was some stuff I skipped over because it wasn't that interesting, like the Bakugan stuff and that one weird apocalypse game. But even with those kind of low points, because it was a mini direct, I just kind of skipped past them, so it ended up being fine. If this was like a standard direct and it had a huge segment of that dedicated to like those games, it might not be as high in respect in my head. But because they put it out like this, I actually kind of prefer it. I don't want to ramble on for much longer, so I will close off by saying thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, click the button, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Comment down below what you thought about the direct, what was your favorite announcement, if you've picked up any of the random shit that they just decided to same day shadow drop, like No More Heroes or the Time UFO, or if you've tried the Age of Calamity demo. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later. Peace.